Welcome back to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And in our last video, clear that mental block or something like that. Clear that or mental block be gone, or I can't remember exactly what I titled it, even though it was just 5 minutes ago that I talked about it. Um, I just want to move forward, move forward. So we kind of presented a lot of information in the last video, and I basically see I'm really thinking about, I really want to suggest a book. It's called Illusions. I don't remember the author, but that's the name of the book. Um, there's another book that I did not read called Untethered Soul, and it has like a white horse on it running on the beach. Uh, I just had to put my hand on that book to understand the message, to download the information. Uh, being a having some heavy water placements, you can kind of osmosis transfer information as simple as touching a book. Uh, you know, and it was within the same range. Sometimes I can just look at the title of the book and download the essence. Like I can absorb the essence of what it's saying, the whole entire book. Like it's just like, whoa, okay, I got it. The title said it all. Untether your soul. Illusions. So, Illusions was, I believe, written by the same person who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And honestly, that book I totally hated. And everyone was passing it around uh, in seminary, like when I was in high school. So, like in the 90s. They're like, this book changed my life. I'm like, really? I was like, this is confusing AF. Like, I did not relate to that. So, that's a good sign that book's not for you. If you get super confused, I'm just gonna go like this. And we know from the last video that when I use this wizard hand symbol, it means block, block, block. Compartmentalized. You're trying to fit information into the structure or the ice cube tray that you understand in order for you to accept it. So that's part of your filter system that's clogging your third eye. So opening your mind was kind of pretty much what the last video was about. And I started to help you maybe bring to your awareness that our whole entire civilization, with all of the possibility, has narrowed itself down and excluded so much possibility. And that's kind of like new age terminology, but we're like wizards, witches, we're co-creators, we're sorcerers. Once again, I feel like those new age words kind of really discredit the the information you can mine, the information you can start extracting when you start embracing the truth that we are intrinsically connected to all life. That means above and below, within and without. You can't separate your subconscious from your conscious. And I think this is where we fail in psychology. We can't separate spirit from matter, from the quantum level of life, fifth dimension, to the very first dimension. You know, two sides of the same coin. This coin can't really be split. Um, so there's this, we're as wizards, as witches, we're always working with paradox. And paradox itself, when you start to really understand and work with it, can open up the doors of perception. Um, but we need to start having different antennas and satellites. You need to have different ways for information to come to you. And we consider that heightening of the five senses, your five clairs. And we get a whole bunch of people who don't know anything about psychic stuff telling you what clairvoyance is, what clairaudience is, and we just trust it. And that's okay. That's a good introduction, okay? Uh, but I started thinking, I'm like, one of the most valuable things that has served me it, in my abilities is to recognize, acknowledge those abilities are there. And that is your number one ticket on how to open up your third eye. So a ritual is kind of like bypassing. What is bypassing? You see a flight of stairs, made out of cement with a railing that the general public is supposed to go through. But instead, around the corner for disabled people, you see an elevator that is operational, and you think, oh, well, I'll just go through that elevator. And you do that, and you skip the steps. You just go up the elevator, and you're like, and then you go to work, and you do that for days, months, years, whatever. Everyone else has to use the stairs, and you have been spiritually bypassing using plant medicine. You've been spiritually bypassing using a helping spirit. You've been spiritually bypassing using herbs, stones, and other resources, phases of the moon, and you're like, all the magical things, all the helping spirits, all the helping plants, all the totems, and that's all good. And the elevator is there for the handicapped people to use, and every once in a while, the general public. But it was supposed to be a secondary option, not your first option. So, another way to spiritually bypass is like, my angel will fix it. If I'm doing something unethical or things aren't working out in the spiritual plane, then my guides are going to fix it. So when people reference their guides, they're spiritually bypassing. They're using the elevator. Um, you know, they've dug through the janitor's closet, pulled out a pulled out a certificate that grants them authority, supposedly, to be in the building. Like whatever, it's kind of shady. And what's wrong with that, Onyx? Well, they're not building up their leg strength. And now they have a flat butt. They have pancake ass, and no one wants to date them. That's what's wrong. Their thighs are weak. And so they've weakened themselves by taking the easy route. They've weakened themselves. And so there's going to be a day the fire alarm goes off, and guess what? That elevator system isn't working, and you have to use the stairs. That might be the straw that breaks the camel's back, and they bust out their knee, or they twist their ankle. They throw out their back. Everyone else was fine, and everyone else was able to vacate the building a lot better. Well, they had glute and thigh power. Okay. So this is the tragedy of spirituality, new age thinking, therapy. This is also the tragedy of medication. This is the tragedy of technology. We are relying on the elevator when you have a perfectly good pair of legs. And what's built into the system, what's built into the structure of the building, reality itself, was the flight of stairs, the exit. You could have looked on the wall, saw other maps. Every day you went to work, you could have taken an alternative route. You could know where the fire extinguishers are. You could have been well informed, but that takes a little effort. It takes a little curiosity. It takes a little investigation. You could have actually, applied for a different position in the building, and actually, instead of going through the janitor's closet to find an authorization pass, you could have been given you one. You could get that key card access. So now you're getting it. You're like, oh wow, heavy on the spiritual bypassing correspondence table, heavy on the spiritual bypassing sitting at my guru's feet, enjoying the blessings of their energy, living in my teacher's aura, being addicted to my guru, to my teachers, to my friends, putting extra faith and reliability in the system that it's installed. It's there for a reason. It wasn't there for you to take advantage of. It wasn't there for you to launch pad yourself off of. Exactly. So the day will come full circle when things change biologically, uh, on all different levels, and you're going to have to start using the stairs. It would be a lot easier if you would use those stairs more often, is what I'm saying. So let's kind of get more. So I'm always gonna, I see it left and right. I see it everywhere I go. Excuses, lies, having no integrity, relying on others, just all this craziness that's not necessary. So going back to all this, Onyx, what the heck are you talking about, buddy? You're kind of losing me. I'm like, no, we're really talking about opening up our third eye. What has helped me on my magical path is my ability to see. Like even today when I'm walking my dog, um, I could see things going on with other people. I could see things going on with plant life. I can see the etheric body. The etheric body is like it's like the you have like 5 different bodies, okay? 5 different like energy bodies. You exist on about 5 different planes simultaneously. You put them all together and you lock them in place with physical matter, and you are tangible. When I take those pins out, you turn into this like gel thing. You lose your form. It's hard to mentally hold yourself together. And literally, that's what we're doing moment by moment by moment, frame by frame by frame. We're uh, rebuilding a body, rebuilding a body, rebuilding a body, like a pulsing flash. Here, not here, here, not here, here, not here. And having some physical matter, the food that we eat, having some density, having some building blocks, kind of gives us enough matter to interact this way. Otherwise, you'd just be like jello, okay? So I can kind of see that jello level. And I've always been able to. I'm like, I was like, so I'm looking at my journey through live spirituality and just being me, experiencing all of this craziness. And I'm like, some of my memories, it's kind of like spatial distortions where things can be up close and then things can be far away. And I'm like, is that the experience of disassociation? Or is that me somehow using clairvoyance of some form to, is that me, moving my consciousness, like seeing from a different perspective during maybe a traumatic moment, you know? Am I like now in the audience instead of being the actor on stage? I'm like, so little things like that. And I'm like, in magic and spirituality, when you use your abilities are just on, okay? And those abilities send you signals that affirm what you're doing. So our 5 senses help us navigate in this plane, but they also affirm that yes, you are right here. Yes, that teacup is hot. Yes, that beverage is cold. It's happening now. You are having an experience of drinking this cold water. So it acknowledges and validates your experience as real. it quickly gets intangible when you start working with other planes. What is magic but your ability to work with other planes? But then you're left to ideas, philosophies, moralities, uh, and miracles and faith and belief when you can't affirm, you can't get confirmation on what you're doing in these planes simultaneously. So if your psychic abilities really aren't on, means you don't have access to those other planes, means you got a block. Most of those blocks is limiting beliefs, past trauma experience, the system itself not acknowledging uh, the rest of the pie. You know, our system will only acknowledge 1/8 of the pie. That is its purpose. I, the system, the matrix of planet Earth and all its occupants, am here to support and acknowledge and validate 1/8 of the pie. Period. Forever and ever and ever. And here you are, and you're having experiences that are more than 1/8, or just outside a different quadrant. If you don't have a presence in these other planes, if you don't have experience, if you cannot sense, you can't swim, you can't navigate there, and so then it gets marginalized, it gets kicked out, it gets replaced. You deny it, you sweep it under the rug, and then you go into more behaviors that support the opposite: denial, criticism, fighting, temper tantrum, just forgetfulness. Discard it. So you don't value it, you just discard it. You make fun of it until and it just turns into history, turns into don't remember. What are you talking about, huh? And so the information of all the other dimensions is here. You actually are part of it, but you're probably the one not allowing it entrance. So the third eye, the sixth sense, it can be a place of vision, but it doesn't have to be. So what the third eye actually is awareness. Attached to awareness is your consciousness. So your five senses are like your portals, your sensory system to navigate this plane. But they're all connected to one sense, awareness. Awareness is achieved by being open-minded and acknowledging the signals. Why am I seeing kind of a red light around this person? Why is it focused at their forehead? Hey, I noticed there's like a red light around your forehead. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Are you angry? Are you fantasizing? When I look in these books, it tells me red is passion and vitality. Oh, you're actually really angry and you're thinking about cuss words. I get it now. When I see red around someone's third eye, they're thinking hostile stuff. But maybe it's different for another person. Hey, I see red around your forehead. What's going on? Oh, you're actually thinking some loving, compassionate thoughts. Very passionate thoughts. Oh, okay. So there you go. Starting to learn to see auras, starting to put a correspondence table together So you're gathering information in your living experience. So this is how you develop your ability to see. Very, very basic. Oh man, I'm hearing ringing in my ear. It's always on my right side. Oh, it really feels like confirmation. That person is telling the truth. Okay, now I know what that signal means. And so you're starting to understand the signals. So it's like you've been put into that control room. You're like Homer Simpson on The Simpsons. He like is in this little control room for this like nuclear power plant. And he didn't bother to read the manual. And so a lot of us haven't bothered to spend the time to read the manual to understand what to do. And so he just kind of guesses and his way through, or sometimes someone else helps him. But, and I'm like, that's what it's like with your psychic senses. And so over time, listening to your skin, listening to your body. So a lot of your signals can come in through the sense of touch, a lot. And you could arguably say all your five senses are a modification of touch. Your eyes are touching atmosphere and the light waves and whatever, all the waves, they're touching the nerves in your eyes and getting reinterpreted in your brain, and you're having an experience. Same with smell, same with taste. Uh, and so, same with hearing. Something is touching you. Your environment somehow is touching you. Even though it may feel reversed, you touching it. It's touching you. And actually, it could be both, because we can get into reversing that as well. Reversing the flow of energy, reversing through your senses. And then I will drop the hint when you're going to go into all shields up psychic. Think about your five senses being guarded. Okay, those are like open doors and windows having access into you. If you can put a guardian there, if you can shut those doors and windows, if you can maybe even barricade them from time to time during times of need, that's a good thing. So I've been thinking about that. But anyways, this video is about why it's critical, why it's crucial to cultivate being open-minded, open-hearted, open-bodied. Being open allows you to receive that other information that's not accredited and approved by the system. But we know nothing's wrong with this system. That's just what it's there for. But guess what? You're actually free of this system, and you can start approving, accrediting, and validating the other parts of the pie. And then you start having magical, spiritual, psychic experiences. Okay? Because you're gathering more information. So being open-minded, living openly in a way, instead of so defensively and on guard, instead of feeling attacked and victimized, instead of feeling like the whole world's against you, when you remove limiting beliefs, when you change this attitude by adjusting your belief system, by reconfiguring your construct, your paradigm, however you'd like to call it, you then open up and have better experiences. Now, that was just one way to do it. You can just start breathing more and eating healthier. If everything is information, the cleaner the air, the purer the information coming into you, and the cleansing process too. The cleaner your food, you can eat whatever you want, honestly, but if you're strictly going for clairvoyance and that's a goal of yours, I would definitely do a vegan diet for a month and just watch. If you're trying to get over emotional stuff, heavy emotions can really cloud your sixth sense. Okay. Having a grudge, holding on to a long-term grudge, having a really strict negative bias towards something in life, strong resistance, you know, can really put a put a knife in your third eye. You know, it can really, you're doing yourself a disservice when you think being tough, being strong, being brave, being in warrior mode about certain attitudes and beliefs and injustices. You know, if you got caught in the trap of injustice, it can you can accidentally become the enemy. You can actually become the very thing that you're fighting about. A really good example is my mom was like, I don't want you guys watching any really violent thing on television, you know, on the screens. And anytime she would see it on, she'd get really angry, run over to the TV, to the screen room, and, you know, shut off the screen. And I go, Mom, why are you doing that? She's like, I don't want you guys, you know, she's getting all angry and violent. I don't want you guys watching violence. And I go, Mom, you're the only one violent here. You're violently defending, you're violently advocating for these beliefs. And you've become the very thing that you're saying you don't want to expose us to. so so have some playfulness with your limitations. Have some playfulness with the matrix. Have some playfulness with it. If you can, like, see how absurd you are, see how ridiculous it is, see how meaningless it is, so you can reconstruct your configuration so you can have more spiritual experiences, so you can be awesome. It's like you have to have a different mind to be clairvoyant. You have to have a different mind to be a wizard. You have to have a different mind to be a witch. Now, I went on and on with these last two videos when really I wanted to go a whole different direction, which was really connect to the earth. So obviously we needed to have this conversation instead about, because if you're really going to understand my videos, you have to understand it's not, the information is not face value, but it's also face value. If you find some entertainment, if you find some value in the straight direct talk, great. You know, if that puts some puzzle pieces together for you, great. But you can also realize that I'm using some alternative hallways, doors, and keys, and I'm talking to you in a way that's allowing you to start opening up these 7 other doors. So you can eat, you can have all of the pie. It's coming at you in different chunks and in different ways. I can't help that because that's the way I am. I am, you know, operating on different levels. And so that's going to come out through the way I speak and talk to you. And you just being exposed to it is opening up windows and doors. And so the purpose is fulfilled. You're already magically growing, and it's just like I'm singing a song to you. You haven't been able to hear some of the notes, but now you do. You know, because you're being exposed to it. These fresh new nerve endings, they're becoming sensitive to a new sound. You're becoming open to this way of presenting information, and you're dialing in. The more you dial in, and it happens automatically. So there's no trying. So with this block that I've been talking about, that's you efforting it. That's your personality going, I want to understand this. I want to make it happen. I want to get involved and do. But the paradox is magic is already built into the system. So the best way to gain access to it is relax and be open. Chill out, man. So it's really interesting. So you're like, I'm gonna really learn magic, and I brought this like boat and these oars, and I'm gonna stick it in the river, and I'm gonna go down the river with these oars and whatever. And I'm like, you know what? It'd be a lot faster and a lot more fun if we just got on these inner tubes and rafts. We're not going to work it. We're just going to get on these things that naturally float. We're going to go with the flow and the current, and you're going to find out you didn't need to be so involved. You didn't need to take a course on magic. You didn't need all that. That was for entertainment purposes only. That was to give your ego something to chew on. But the fact is, it's all happening anyways. All Passer One, it's all happening anyways. Your Kundalini is rising without your involvement. Your spiritual evolution is happening without your spiritual involvement. But one thing you could do is listen to your body more. Listen to your environment more. And when I say listen, it's not just with your ears. Listening, sensing, feeling more through different levels and layers, you're going to get more data, more information, and you're going to naturally know more. It's going to fill in some blanks automatically. You're going to have genius moments. You're going to have downloads. And that inner light is going to turn on so you can see in the dark. And your way of living will become very magical from other people's level of living because you have more bandwidth. You know, you're 5G. While the environment is still supporting 1G and may always be there and necessary, you're at 5G. You get to celebrate it. And so that's what I'm saying. You know, see the value in being open, see the value in being receptive. And you don't have to work so hard. You don't have to overthink. You don't have to like make that shelf so heavy. Your brain doesn't need to be involved. But you can dive in and enjoy the water because